Hey, let's get started out right. I'm a little happy today. I'm just feeling good today. I need everybody, we're just going to do a little fun here. I need everybody to turn to like two people next to you and just say, I've been praying all week that I get to sit next to you. I've been praying all week that I get to sit next to you. Come on, do it. Trying to loosen you up so have fun today. Tell some people. Saying it across the rows. I love it. Listen, that's a win-win to say that, okay? If you're married and you're sitting next to your spouse and you just said that, brownie points. Butch, come on, brownie points right there. If you're single and you came to church looking for a date and you just got to say it to the person next to you and they're kind of looking like church good, you're welcome. You are welcome. We're just here to help all of that. If you are new around here, I am not single. I am married to the hottest girl in the world, my wife, who is watching online right now. Love you, baby. But I'm the campus pastor around here. We love that you guys are hanging out with us, especially if this is your very first time here. We have a whole group of people watching online right now. Here's some people who are tuning in right now. Derek, Charles, hey to the whole Charles crew. Stephanie, Chase, Mark and Joanne, Mazak, Marianne Chumbris, Michelle Langford. Can you guys just give it up for everybody watching online right now? I love it. Hey, I'm a little excitable today. So can you buckle up? Everybody just kind of buckle up. Here's why I'm excited. This is the second day of spring, people. Come on. I love the spring. Hey, just kind of wondering, is anybody ready for 70 and sunny? Anybody at all? Who's ready for lower electric bills? Yes. Is anybody ready to be entertained by tourists who see dolphins and yell, "Shark"? I'm ready for that. Who's ready for traffic? Sorry, I took it a little too far. I'm going to bring it back. I do love the spring, and I love the spring for a lot of reasons, but when I was a kid, I loved the spring because my dad would always take me and my brother bass fishing, and I loved to go bass fishing as a kid. We would load up in our family station wagon that was like 72 feet long, had white wall tires, all right, which is like the perfect, outdoors mobile, right, to go fishing in. We'd all get in the station wagon. We would go to Captain Bill's Bait and Tackle Shop in Millsboro, and we'd go in there. We'd always say, like, Captain Bill, like, what are the fish biting on? And what's interesting about Captain Bill is, like, his name was Captain Bill, and he ran a bait and tackle shop, but he never wanted to talk about fishing. He wanted to talk about, like, conspiracy theories. We'd be like, what are the fish biting on? He'd be like, you hear that Ronald Reagan got abducted by aliens? And we'd be like, okay, I guess we'll just take a box of worms, Captain Bill. I don't know. I don't know about the whole Ronald Reagan thing. But then we'll get back in the family station wagon. My dad would drive us to the Millsboro pond. He would get his little lawn chair out. We would go bass fishing with our worms and our bobbers, and it was the best. I love going bass fishing with my dad. There was one time that wasn't good. And that was one time when I was walking behind my dad when he was casting, and he caught me. Right here. Or it was a low moment in my life, all right? He caught me right here, right in the stomach. But besides the time that my dad caught me, I love going bass fishing with my dad. It was a good time. And so last week, I was like, you know what? I want to take my kids bass fishing. It's almost spring. Last week was almost spring. I was like, I want to take my kids bass fishing like my dad took me. And so, I went and picked my kids up from the bus. And when they got in my car, I was like, kids, we're going bass fishing. And they're like, why? I was like, because it's warm. And this is what families used to do when we drove station wagons around. So get in the car, kids. And so, they got in the car. We went down to Hocker's Hardware to get our box of worms. The cashier didn't even tell us that the president was abducted by aliens. So it was already starting out good. Our bass fishing was going good, and our whole family went bass fishing. The whole family, Stacy, the kids, my 7-pound Chihuahua. We all loaded up in the family minivan. Went down. You got to respect the family minivan at the fishing hole, you guys. And so we got down there, and my boy Nixon was so excited to go bass fishing. He's like, before we went, he's like, Daddy, am I going to catch something? I'm going to catch something. Am I going to catch the biggest one? I'm going to catch the biggest one. I'm going to catch a fish. I'm going to catch a fish. He was so excited to go fishing. He's 5 years old. This was the greatest moment of his life. And so we went out there. Nixon is psyched. I'm psyched. I'm having flashbacks to my childhood, like fishing with my dad. I'm holding my fishing dog, my 7-pound Chihuahua, wearing a sweater. I'm ready to go. And only one of us caught a fish out there. Guess who it was? Stacy. Listen, every time my amazing wife Stacy caught a fish, we have a picture of her fish right here. Let's give it up for my wife, Captain Stacy. All right, she's watching right now. She just outfished us all. We were psyched. Everybody was like, Stacy, you caught a fish. You know, everybody was psyched except for Nixon. Nixon was not psyched, okay? He was like, this is the worst day of my life. I don't like to fish. I'm never going to catch a fish. This is the worst. And like, listen, bass fishing broke my kid. He's never been this broken in his life. He was having a bad day. So I had to take him fishing the next day to kind of like redeem things. And so we went the very next day, and guess who caught a fish? We caught one fish. Not Stacy and not me. Nixon caught a fish because the Lord is good. And so we caught, look at this. Caught his fish. And by the way, if you're not fishing in a members only jacket, you're not fishing right. Just so you know. But I am so glad he caught this fish, because the day before, like, he was at the lowest point I've ever seen him in his life, all right? Like, he was just having a bad time, but he caught this fish, and he's like, I'm a bass fisher. I love bass fishing, so every day now, Nixon wants to go bass fishing. We'll probably go today. But I tell you that because everybody in this room, we know what it's like to be broken like Nixon was broken. And I don't mean just like bass fishing, although if you bass fish, you're going to have some bad days out there. But I mean, in life, isn't it true that we all kind of have been broken? We've gone through something that's broken us in life. Everybody in this room, everybody who's watching online right now, like, you have gone through something that broke you. Listen, it's just part of life. There's two things that'll prove that you're alive. Number one, that you're breathing. All right, everybody, we're just going to do a breath check. Okay, don't breathe too much because of things, you know, but just a little breath check. Come on, blow up your face mask. Are you all breathing? Just nod if you're breathing. Back row did not nod. Okay, this is not good. We got a medical team. Send them to the back row. But that'll prove that you're alive if you're breathing. The second thing that'll prove you're alive is if you've been broken a time or 10 in your life. Hello. And for Nixon, being broken as a kid was like not catching a bass. For me, when I was 28 years old, being broke for me was going through a depression for 2 years. And some of you guys know about my story when I went through that at 28 years old. And so, like, my point is, like, why did that happen? Because brokenness is just part of life. Aren't you glad you came to church on this spring day? Don't you feel good right now? All right, let me give you some good news. This is what life and Jesus have taught me. We'll put this on the screen. This is what we're going to talk about today. Brokenness leads to blessing. Brokenness leads to blessing. We sang it this morning. I was going to write it down because I'm going to forget it right now. But in that second song, we said something, what the enemy meant for evil, God took it for good. Is that what it is? God turned it to good. I read the lyrics. I'm a lyric reader. Okay, I don't know. But what that's saying is brokenness leads to blessing. On Thursday, Nixon was bass broken. On Friday, he was bass blessed. At 28 years old, I was depression broken, but by 30, I was a new dad and a new pastor at this amazing church in a basement. I was blessed. On Good Friday, Jesus was crucifixion broken, but on Sunday, every single one of us was blessed because brokenness leads to blessing. And so if you walked in here feeling a little broken today, I just want to tell you two things. Number one, I have been there. And number two, brokenness leads to blessing. And so wherever you're at in your story, I just want you to not give up because brokenness leads to blessing. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to start in... We're going to look at a story that makes all four Gospels. It's 4 for 4. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and everybody has heard this story that Jesus, that's famous around Jesus, okay? It's when Jesus fed the 5,000. You guys ever heard that story before? Yes. He feeds 5,000 people basically by taking a little kid's Happy Meal, and we'll just talk about that. And I'm just going to walk through this story with you verse by verse, all right? So it's Mark chapter 6, verse 30. If you don't have a Bible, it's right here. So let's just walk through this. The apostles, the disciples, returned to Jesus from their ministry tour, pause. It's not like they got out of like their tour bus. You know, they just got back from Firefly. Like, I'm back from a ministry tour, guys. All right, they were, what it means by ministry tours, they're going like town to town, just telling people about Jesus. So they get back from their ministry tour and told him, Jesus, all that they had done and taught. Then Jesus said, let's go off by ourselves to a quiet place and rest a while. He said this because, this is important, there were so many people. Can you say Memorial Day weekend? There were so many people coming and going that Jesus and his apostles didn't even have time to eat. And so they left by boat for a quiet place where they could be alone. Didn't have time to eat. Do you get that? Not having time to eat? Okay, Amy gets it. I don't get it. I will make time to eat. You know what I'm saying? Because if I get hangry if I have not eaten. And so the disciples, I think they're a little hangry. Now, I remember a few years ago, I went to lunch with this guy right over here at Arenas. And I didn't know this guy at all. He was a friend of a friend. And the friend said he wanted me to take this guy to lunch. So I was like, okay, I'll go to lunch. And so I met this guy over at Arenas. And have you ever gone to a restaurant with somebody and before you even order or before they even look at the menu, they start telling you their life story? Has this ever happened to you before? Oh, this is what happens. We sit down, and this guy starts telling me, his entire life story. And I'm trying to, tune in. I'm trying to, be a pastor. But everything in me was you need to look at your menu, man. Because this server is going to come, and you're not going to know what you want to eat because you're not looking at your menu. And I'm hungry, so you need to look at your menu. And the server came, and guess who didn't know what they wanted to order? The guy telling his life story. And he's like, oh, no, I'm sorry. We haven't had time to look at the menu. Could you just come back in a few minutes? Has this ever happened to you before? The server walks away. He starts telling me life story again. I'm like, no. Don't be that guy. You need to look at your menu. She just asked you what you want. You got to look at your menu because I can't pray for you. I can't care about you. I cannot love you with the love of Jesus until you look at your menu because I need to eat something. I'm in therapy for all this, by the way. I'm working it out. This went on for 30 minutes. Finally, the guy just orders a sandwich. That. How hard is that to figure out your sandwich? I don't know. The waitress says, would you like chips or fries with that? And he's like, oh, I haven't had any time to look at that. You catching me off guard. I'm like, you haven't had any time? You had 30 minutes. We could have turned your life story into a Hallmark movie at this point. But I was hungry, and I was a little angry, and I was what? I was hangry. Some of you are like, I am not asking him to go out for a pastoral lunch, that's for sure. If you do, just figure out what you want to eat. But the disciples in this story, they've been gone all day. They haven't eaten all day. And so they are hangry. Peter is hangry. And so finally they get in the boat to go eat, which is good. And then in verse 33 it says this. It says, but many people, everybody say many people. Many people recognized them and saw them leaving. And people from many towns ran ahead along the shore. That's how you know they're from Jersey, because they went down the shore. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, Jersey joke. They were running ahead of them along the shore, down the shore, and they got there ahead of them. Translation, they were going to get to Jesus and the disciples no matter what. They were chasing them down. Now, that happened to me last week. Actually, it was the day that Stacy and I, the whole family, were going fishing. We're in the family minivan. We're driving through the neighborhood. Stacy's driving. That's important detail. Stacy's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. And I see this lady running out of her yard, running from her house, through her yard. And she is running. And she's doing one of these. And she's yelling, stop, stop, stop. And we're in the van. Now I'm thinking, did Stacy run over somebody back there? You know, one of those numbers. I don't know. This, it's possible. Stacy was driving. Sorry, that's not good. It's not good. Love you, baby. But we stopped in the middle of the road in the neighborhood. And this lady comes to my side. I'm on the passenger side. She comes to my side. I put my window down. And she said, hey, are you the family with kids? I'm Becky. And I was like, do what now? And she said, are you the family with kids? I heard there's a family with kids in the neighborhood, and we have kids, and hardly anybody in this neighborhood has kids, and we have kids, and if you have kids, I want our kids to get together, and I'm Becky. And I'm just trying to catch up with what's happening here, all right? She said, I was not going to stop. I was not going to let you get by the road without me stopping you in the middle of the road because I wanted to talk to the family with kids. I'm Becky. And she's my window's down. She's in my van, head's in the van. And I think finally she realized, we are in a pandemic. And she's like, oh, don't worry. I've been vaccinated. And then she said, have you all been vaccinated? And I'm thinking, well, I was going to get vaccinated, Becky, but after this, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know, Becky. I don't know. Becky, if you're watching this, it was so nice to meet you. But my point is this, like, Becky was going to stop the van. She was going to chase down the van, the family with kids, because she just wanted to meet another family with kids. And she, like, chased us down. And that's what happens in this story. Jesus is chased down by many people. The disciples, they are chased down by many people. They're running down the shore, yelling, hey, I'm Becky. And they're going to get to Jesus no matter what. And Peter, he's hangry. And so Peter, the disciple, he's like, no. I just want to eat. Please, Becky, would you? No, I just want to eat. Please, just let me eat right now. And I'm sure that if the disciples in the boat, I'm sure they're thinking, Jesus, he's going to have our back. He's hungry too. He hasn't eaten all day. He's probably going to put like a force field around the boat so we can eat. Like, everything will be fine. But let me show you what happens. In verse 34, it says this: Jesus saw the huge crowd as he stepped from the boat, and he had compassion on them. Come on, Jesus, not right now. Like, we're hungry. Compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. And so he began teaching them many things. Translation, this is going to take a while, right? Many things. Like, if I come up here and say, I got to teach you many things today, you're like, oh no, right? And so, but listen, compassion. Isn't it funny how we always want Jesus to show us compassion? We just don't want him to show compassion to other people. Isn't that funny? And one of the things I want to get better at in my life is just compassion for other people. One of the things I want our church to be great at is compassion for other people. One of the things I wish that the church and I wish that Jesus followers in general were great at, it would be compassion for other people. Because if Jesus has given us anything, it's what? Compassion. And if we have been given compassion, we should be giving compassion, all right? But the disciples, they aren't given anything but the stink eye to Jesus because they want to be given a cheesesteak. But Jesus wants to give compassion. And so watch this in verse 35. Late in the afternoon. So they already missed the early bird special, okay? There's no early bird special. We're late in the afternoon. His disciples came to him and said, this is a remote place, Jesus. And it's already getting late. Send the crowds away. So they can go to nearby farms and villages and buy something to eat. Like, we're just concerned about them, Jesus. Could you just send them away? You know what I'm saying? Listen, this is big. All right, this is big. I need everybody to lean in, figuratively or literally. I don't know, however you want to do this. Lean in, all my family, lean in. All right, Butch is leaning in, so we got to lean in. Listen, we are never going to be the church that sends away the very people that Jesus called us to reach and disguise it as concern. We are never going to be a church that sends away the very people that Jesus has called us to reach and disguise it as concern. I have a friend who comes here, actually, and when she was a teenager, she got pregnant. And she wasn't married, and she was scared to death. And so she turned to the place that she had gone to for her entire childhood, her church. And when she needed her church more than maybe ever before, to just have compassion for her, to help her, to have concern for her, to kind of guide her, the church turned their back on her out of concern for what it would look like to help a pregnant teenager who was not married. Listen, we will never be that church. We will never send away the very people that Jesus has called us to reach and just disguise it as concern for them. But in this story, like, that's exactly what the disciples want to do. There's all these people who need Jesus, maybe more than ever. And the disciples were like, Jesus, could we just send them away? Because, we're concerned for them. Just really concerned for them. They are lying. They are liar, pants on fire. They are using people as an excuse to get what they want. Now, before you judge them, every parent has done this before. Every parent has done this before, okay? I call it a baby perk, and here's how it works. And nobody asks any questions when you use your baby as an excuse to get what you want, parents, all right? This is how it works. Parents, you'll know all about this. You'll go somewhere, and you're hanging out with somebody, and they're telling you like 20 stories about their cat, and you are over their cat. And so finally you're like, oh, we got to go. We love to hear more stories about your cat, but it's the baby's bedtime. So we're just going to go. And everybody's like, no questions asked. Like, oh yeah, absolutely, go ahead, no problem. And you can do this without anything. Parents, have you used the baby perk before? Come on. Some of you are like, hesitant to admit it. Yes. Kristen's like, I'm going to leave the church service right now. I got my baby out. You can do it anything. You can get a new car. Oh, I had to get a new car. Why? Well, we have a baby, and the safety thing. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. You needed a new car. You can get a brand new house. Like, we got a new house. Why? Because we have a baby. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. And even though the baby is smaller than a Chipotle burrito, nobody asks any questions. It's a baby perk. You need to use it. If you don't have a baby, you need to use Cotter. You're about to have a baby. You just use the baby perk. Some of you didn't know. Cotter announced that the other week. Cotter's going to be a dad. Cotter, give it up for that guy. But we can use people as an excuse to get what we want, and that's exactly what the disciples are doing. They're using they're using other people as an excuse to get themselves some food. And I love what Jesus says. Okay, so they're the disciples, we're concerned. Let's send them away. And Jesus said in verse 37, "You feed them." There's 20,000 people. Now we say this is like Jesus feeding 5,000. It's 5,000 men. You count ladies and kids? And if Bo Dukes' kids are there, there's 25,000 people there. 20,000 people. And Jesus is like, you feed them. And so I love their answer. With what? With what, they asked. We'd have to work for months to earn enough money to buy food for all these people. Everybody say, with what? With what? Last Sunday, I was leaving church, and I ran into RJ, or RJ kind of ran into me. RJ's our production guy, by the way. RJ runs the lights. He runs the sound. He is making online happen online right now. And so I love RJ. Can you give it up for RJ in our production booth? He's the best. Seriously, RJ is such a gift for our team. And last Sunday, the church service had happened. I'm by my car. I'm getting into my 2007 Hoopty. White wall tires. Not really, but kind of. And RJ pulls right up to me, and he's in his brand new Toyota RAV4. And he rolls down his window, and he's like, man, I think you need to get yourselves one of these. And I had two thoughts. My first thought was, maybe you want to gift your pastor one of these. I will receive that blessing, okay? I'm good. My second thought was when he said, why don't you get yourself one of these, is, with what? I mean, my stimulus check was good. It wasn't Bo Duke's good. You know what I'm saying? He got a lot of kids. I wish I could go back in time, have some kids, But my stimulus check was good, but it was not brand new Toyota RAV4 good. So I'm thinking, with what? And in this story, they're like, with what? Jesus is like, you feed them. But that's a great question. With what? They're like, this is not the Golden Corral, Jesus. But it's interesting. Jesus can always see past our problem and see our potential. Jesus can always see past our problems and he can see our potential. So Jesus says, you feed them. You guys go ahead and do this. You can do this. And this is important. Some of you need to know this. I need to be reminded of this. Jesus wants to do more through me than I think I can do on my own. Jesus wants to do more through you than you think you can do. Jesus wants to do more through this church than we think we can do. Jesus has this way of seeing past our problem and seeing our potential. And so many times in our life, we're like, oh, I can't do that. It's impossible. I can't get clean. I can't be happy. I can't get healthy. I can't find a date on christianmingle.com. I'm getting some date requests, and they're only from Captain Bill, and he's talking about aliens. But otherwise, I can't get any date. I just can't. And we think, I can't do it. And you know what? On your own, you're right. You can't. But how many of you know we are not on our own? How many of you know that Jesus wants to do more through us than we can do on our own? Amen. Jesus, listen, you can because Jesus in you is greater than any weakness in you. And one of the reasons I love coming to this church and just church in general is because I think Jesus speaks potential to us when we're in church. And maybe you walked in here today and all you can kind of see is your broken situation and you're like, oh, I'll never be able to do this. I'm always going to be this. I'll never be able to blah, 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 all this stuff. And you know what? Jesus is saying on your own, you're exactly right. But if you and me would just partner together, if you would just tag team this stuff with me, we will get this done because Jesus sees past our problem and he can see our potential. But the disciples are like, with what, Jesus? All I see is the problem. With what? And so it says this in verse 38. Jesus jumps in. He's like, let me help you guys. He says, how much bread do you have? Go and find out. And so they came back and reported, we have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. We took it from some kid, okay? We took it like, it's a Happy Meal. We took his Happy Meal. But let's think about this. 5 loaves of bread, 2 fish, 20,000 people. Okay, that's not going to work. Okay, let me switch hands. Okay, 5 loaves of bread on this hand. 2 fish. 20,000 people. Okay, that's not going to work. 5 loaves of bread, 2, maybe you get a calculator. Anybody got a calculator? We can like do some scientific stuff and figure this out. My point is this. You can't like stretch this enough to make it enough. This is not enough. This isn't enough to feed 5,000 people. It's not enough to feed 20,000 people. It's not enough to feed the disciples. This isn't even enough to feed Bo Dukes' kids. This is not enough. It is not enough. No matter how many, no matter what kind of filter you kind of put on this to make it look like enough, at the end of the day, this is not enough. They don't have enough no matter how you look at this. Now, sometimes we don't think that we are enough or we have enough. I remember a few years ago, I was on social media, and I remember everybody's pictures started looking different all of a sudden. Like all of a sudden, everybody they had like brighter white teeth, and their skin was perfect. Then they had gigantic eyeballs. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I was looking at everybody's picture on social media. All of a sudden, people started looking good. And I was thinking, and I don't mean to sound bad, but I was thinking, I know this person. They don't look like that. You know what I mean? And so I remember I said to Stacy, I was like, Stacy, look at this picture. I said, what's wrong with her face? And just nonchalant, she was like, oh, they use a filter. I was like, what? They use lip filler? What? She said, no, well, maybe. I don't know. But she said, no, they use a filter. They put a filter over the picture to make themselves look better. Have you guys heard of these filters? Where were these filters when I was growing up? Where were these filters when my 2nd grade elementary school picture came out? You guys want to see my 2nd grade elementary school picture? Okay, here's my 2nd grade elementary school picture right here. Where was a filter when I didn't have this tooth? Where was that? Now, one thing we can't filter out of this is my hair. That's a good looking head of hair right there. That's good. But listen, filters are everywhere. So this week, I was like, I want to find out about these filters. I downloaded the Facetune app. Whatever that is, okay? It was big on the App Store. So I was like, let me download this. And I took a picture that RJ had taken last week while I was preaching. All right, this picture right here. Not a bad picture, but I thought maybe if I could make my put some teeth in there. You can't see any teeth. Just maybe get some teeth. Maybe a little more tan. I look kind of tan, but maybe Baywatch tan. And if I could maybe get some muscles in this picture, maybe we could put it on the front page of the church website. I don't know. So we Facetuned it, and you want to see the Facetune version? Okay, here's me after we filtered it. There it is. Not bad. Some of you right now, you're like, okay, Facetune app. Download directly after church, okay? Listen, this is social media in 2021, isn't it? Filters. Do you know what the problem with filters are? Some of you, in this room, some of you who are watching online, you don't think that you're enough because you're comparing yourselves to the filtered lives of your friends online. You see your friends, they post a picture of them on vacation, and they're in Bora Bora. And you're looking at your life, and you're like, I'm in a basement. I'm in a basement. Bora Bora, basement, okay? Or, you look at people, this gets my wife sometimes, it gets me sometimes. People post a picture of their family and everybody looks perfect. You know what I mean? And their kids don't even have a stain in their shirt. And you're like, who are these people? And, you look at your own kids and you're pretty sure one of them is demon possessed, all right? And the other kid, you couldn't promise them enough Happy Meals to sit still for a picture. And we do all this comparing, and we don't think that we're enough because we're comparing ourselves to the filtered lives of our friends online. And we're constantly comparing. And we just don't think we're enough. And sometimes that idea of not thinking that we're enough, it can bleed over into our relationship with Jesus. We're like, Jesus, I'm not enough. I don't have enough. I don't have what they have. All right, I'm not good enough. I'll probably never be good enough. And I just want to tell somebody that because of Christ, what you have is enough. You, as you are right now, you are enough. You are enough. You may not have what the people online have. You may not have what you want to have. You may not have what you used to have. But if you just give Jesus what you have, he can do a miracle in you that will absolutely blow your mind because you are enough. And if you miss everything I say today, don't miss this. You are enough. Just say that with me. I'm enough. I'm enough. So you're enough. But in this story, they don't think they have enough. There's 20,000 people, and they're like, we got 5 loaves of bread. We got 2 fish. We don't have enough to feed ourselves. We don't have enough. This is a broken situation. Could you agree this is a broken situation? But what did I say at the beginning? Brokenness leads to blessing. Broken situation, but brokenness leads to blessing. Now, I don't know about you, but I like instant gratification. You like instant gratification? You ask for something and you get it. I love prayers like this, like Jesus, just bless me. Amen. And I open up my eyes, and there's somebody standing in front of me saying, hey, I would like to bless you with my brand new Toyota RAV4. Here are the keys. I will receive that blessing, Brother RJ. I will bless you with a 2007 Civic. Here are the keys. Not so new. No, just kidding. I'm totally kidding. But we want instant gratification, don't we? But Jesus doesn't always work through instant gratification. He has a process before we ever see the blessing a lot of times. There's a whole process to it. Now, let me show you why I say a process. Verse 39 says this. Then Jesus told the disciples to have the people sit down in groups. So whose idea was it for the people to sit down in groups? Jesus. Sit down in groups on the green grass. They fertilize it. Scott's fertilizer, so it's green grass. And so they sat down in groups of 50 or 100. Wait, how many people we have here? 20,000 people. And there's they want them in groups of what? 50 or 100. 20,000 people, 50 or 100. This is going to take a while. Right? I mean, can you imagine Peter? Peter, he's hungry. He's hangry. All right, he just wants to eat. And he's like, you want us to put 20,000 people in groups of 50 or 100? Okay. All right. I'll do it. Okay. Start. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shh, Thomas, shh. I'm counting. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. No, I'm going to lose track. Shh. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Okay, 50. 50. Okay. If I just counted you, I need you to just get in a circle. Your group A. Just you sit in a circle. Your group A. What? No, I know you want to sit with them, but you're not in group A. You're in group B. If you keep talking, listen, I will put you in group F. Stop. You stand, sit. Go ahead and sit. Stand. Sit. Okay, sit. Group A. We're going to have dinner soon. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Could you imagine how long this would have taken? And my point is, it's a process, right? In my life, for us to get a blessing, it's a process. In my life, it's normally been a process before I get the blessing. In this story, it's going to be a process before they ever get the blessing. In your life, it's probably going to be a process before you get the blessing. Everybody say it's a process. And listen, what you have, if you give what you have to Jesus, it's enough for Jesus to take you from where you are to where he wants you to be. But it's a process. And so many times we're like, you know what? I'll never beat this addiction. No. Don't give up. You're just in the process. Well, I'm always going to be lonely. Okay, no. So, but just don't give up because you're in the process. Well, Joel, I'm never going to, I don't have a job. I'm never going to have, listen, you just don't give up. You're just in the process. It's just going to take a while. You're in the process. And you know who specializes in the process? Jesus. On Crucifixion Friday, on Good Friday, he was on the cross. On Saturday, complete silence. But on Sunday, He walked out of that grave alive because Jesus specializes in a process. And so if you feel broken right now, if you're not where you want to be in life right now, I just want to remind you, don't give up, because right now God is going, with your life, he's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And he's arranging things in your life. He's 1, 2, 3, 4. He's arranging things in your life to do something that you never thought was possible, but you're just in the process. And so watch what Jesus says in verse 41. Jesus took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. And so the disciples gave Jesus what they had. It wasn't enough, was it? It was not enough, but they just gave them what they had. And sometimes we're like, Jesus, well, I don't have enough to give you. Jesus is like, just give me what you have. Well, Jesus, like, if I give you what I have, it is a mess, all right? It's not even color coordinated. It is not good, okay? Jesus, like, well, that's okay. Just give me what you have. Just give me what you have. And so Jesus took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, just took what they had, and he looked up toward heaven, and he blessed them. Then breaking the loaves into pieces, he kept giving the bread to the disciples so that they could distribute it to the people. He also divided the fish for everyone to share. They all ate. How many people? All ate. They all ate as much as they wanted. That's a blessing. Wouldn't you agree? And the disciples gave Jesus what they had. And everybody ate. All 20,000 people ate like it was an all-you-can-eat Nicoboli pizza party. Come on, who would like to be at that pizza party? But why or how? What happened? What was the process? Jesus took it, and he blessed it, and he broke it, and he gave it. Jesus took it, and he blessed it, and he broke it, and he gave it. Jesus took it, and he blessed it, and he broke it, and he gave it. And at the end of the story, they have more than they could ever imagine, but it was a process, because that's how it happens in my life. It's always been a process, because that's how it works in the Bible. I mean, think about Joseph. Jesus took him from among his brothers, and he blessed him with a dream, with a vision, and he broke him when Joseph was in prison, but he gave him to Pharaoh, and he became the second most powerful in all of Egypt. He took David from the fields, and he blessed David with a promise, and he broke David when David was in prison, but he blessed David by being the king over the nation of Israel. He took Peter from along the sea of the shore of the Sea of Galilee, and he blessed Peter with an invitation. But he broke Peter when Peter denied Jesus 3 times on crucifixion night. But he gave Peter the very first speaking spot at the very first church service ever. Listen, I don't know about you, but Jesus has taken away my sin from me, and he's blessed me in more ways than I can ever imagine. And he broke me when I was depressed at 28, but he gave me a new hope and a new future and a new vision and new joy. And when I was pulling into church this morning, I thought, if you would have told me at 28 years old that 2 years later I will be a pastor, hello, in a basement, hello. And that over the last 7 or 8 years, that this basement church, we see over 400 people accept Jesus, and I would baptize 124 people, and that on Easter of last year, I would preach to 2,500 people, and that we'd have 5 people on our staff, and we'd be raising $1.5 million for a new building to reach more people. I would have told you were crazy, but I'm here to remind somebody that brokenness leads to blessing. Brokenness leads to blessing. And listen, if he can do that for me, he can do that for me, because that's the kind of God he is, and that's the kind of God that we serve. He takes us and he blesses us, and he breaks us, and then he gives us new life. He takes us and he blesses us, and he breaks us, and he gives us new life. He takes us and he blesses us, and he breaks us, and he gives us new life. We just got to give him what we have. Is it enough? Never. But is he enough? Always. And so if you're broken right now, all I want to tell you is don't give up, because you're in the process of being blessed. And that's how God works. He works in a process, because brokenness leads to blessing. Let me pray for you guys. Jesus, I'm so thankful for this story, because I can relate to it. I know what it's like to be broken, and I know every single person in this room has gone through something that has broken them. But God, what's so amazing about you is that you can turn a test and put it into a testimony. You can take our brokenness and turn it into a blessing. What the enemy meant for evil, you turned it into good. And I'm so thankful for that. And so somebody here needs to hear that today. And Jesus, you're just encouraging them. And I just pray that the people in this room know that you work in a process. You arrange your life by 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we want instant gratification. But you are constantly working. You are constantly putting things together. And I pray that somebody will walk out of here today knowing you are putting the story together so they can walk out of here with hope. Jesus, we're so thankful that you are hope. Everything about you is hope. And we love you, and we love that you just work through us. In your name, amen.